Welcome to MetalVice in 666. I'm your host, Brian, joined with other host,
Karen.
And for this episode, we wanted to quickly talk about the Archspire Kickstarter that we just found out about Friday. So we're recording this on Sunday, June 1st.
Yes.
And I found out about this Friday. So Archspire is launching a Kickstarter to fund their next album and some activities around that as well.
Yeah. So basically, they're taking ownership of their music going forward.
Yeah, they're going independent.
Independent, yes. That's the way to say that.
Yeah. They are looking for $125,000, I believe, or 126 is their goal, or somewhere in there. And as of this recording, they are already up to 181. So they have surpassed their goal for that.
Yes. We did one for Joey Jordenson's
for
Vimic. And they surpassed their goal as well,
yep,
right away. So which is really awesome.
This is one we're going to be backing a little bit as well. Or yeah, we'll back this one, but we're going to talk about this real quick. So they do have a video out there as well of them just sitting around, sort of chatting about this. Really cool. They go in depth to sort of some of the aspects, why they're doing this, and so on and so forth. Definitely worth a watch. We'll put the link in our description for that video as well. Yeah. So definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. It's very comical, so it's good.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so and they also sort of break down the expenses and why they need the money they need. And they're pretty diligent around we need it for this dollar, for this line item and whatnot. Very good accounting. So
and not saying we need about this much money. It's we've spent this much money. This is what we're estimating what we need.
Right. And so they go through that in the video as well as the article that led us to this from Metal Injection, which we'll post that in our description as well. But it's outlined. They basically, so far they've spent $49,000, almost $50,000 on stuff to make the album.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they have sort of what's left, and they go down and they break that down. So it's t-shirts. They're wanting 750 units. That's $7,500. CD production, 750 units there, just under $4,000. Vinyl production, they're looking at 1,250 units to try to make that. That's about $24,450 is what they have booked for that. So they go through all these expenses. Really cool to see it sort of broke down for us who want to know more about the back and the business side of things. Yeah. And one of their sort of tiers that you can back gets you access to the documentary they're making behind the scenes. So that's really cool. They're going to go more in depth in that documentary as well. So I don't know. We'll see what one we end up going for and what we're sort of going to end up with.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely not going to do the highest tier, I don't think. But
no.
Maybe one of the mid tiers.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we get for sure.
Definitely one with the vinyl and one with the shirt.
Yeah,
for sure. So
and possibly the documentary, because I don't know. One of these tiers is the merch bundle where you basically get everything that they have for merch: posters, vinyl, CD, digital, patch, pins, all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Really kind of cool to see. I'm super excited to see sort of like I said, the breakdown of the business side of things.
I think the breakdown of the business side is one thing that's really cool. I mean, obviously that we think more on touring costs and stuff. This is more album production costs. But one thing I was surprised on, I'm going to go back to this article really quick just so I can see it. So one thing I was really surprised on, and I remember this from watching Avatar make their last album, that they rented a house and stayed in a house to write the album, and it was kind of out in the woods in Sweden, I believe. And it was, I thought it was more for what do they call that? Inspiration or whatever. But maybe it is more get us all together, because obviously they don't live together normally. So get us all together, focus solely on this, not think about other things or whatever. But they have that on here where it's lodging costs or living expenses for the time when they're recording the album and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. The other one, because we just did an episode on visas for touring, but they have the work visa cost to get the band together to be able to do this. So
wherever they're recording or wherever they're doing the pre-prep and whatnot, all that stuff. Yeah.
Which they are shipping out of they're a Canadian band, but I think they're shipping out of the United States. I think they said.
They did say in their video they're shipping out of Europe somewhere, and I think the U.S. for when they get the merch ready to ship out.
So I'm wondering if they recorded it in the U.S. and stuff too. Maybe.
Yeah. So I can't remember. I don't know where
the visa costs, or maybe it's a visa to go to Canada. Yeah. I don't know. They didn't really go into all that, but that was really interesting to me. Is all those little costs that are behind it. So.
And they did talk a little bit around why they want to go independent as well. They talked about how when you're a band signed to a label, the label takes typically 80 to 85% of royalties. Yeah. They keep the music as well. I knew that. I knew a lot of bands don't get their own music. Once they write it, it's sort of like the label's music.
I know we're not Taylor Swift fans, but she just got the rights back to her music. So I'm sure.
But she like re-recorded it to get the rights back, right? Did she
really?
I think that's what she did. She re-recorded everything and released it as sort of like a new album.
Oh, okay.
So you buy the new album, not the old one.
I see. So
I think that's how that's working.
Independently now. So,
I think so. Yeah.
I thought that she probably just paid a pretty penny to get it back.
A few years ago, Metallica finally got their music. Yep. Like that was a big thing. They hadn't had their rights for the longest time. So
anyways, it's Yeah,
I get that. They also talk about sort of like when you sign up, you get an advance. And then it takes people years and years to pay that off. Sometimes you have to write a new album to pay off that advance, but you got an advance on that album. So it's like a big cyclical sort of, you're trapped in the system.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You kind of get trapped under one record label and maybe it's not going in the direction you want. I don't know if they really talked about that, but I know other bands have talked on that before where it's like, well, the band wrote 30 songs and the studio chose 8 of them or 12 of them or whatever it is because they're more radio friendly.
Or they write an album, the studio's like, we're not releasing this album, go make a new one. I think that's sort of what happened with Slipknot's Look Outside Your Window.
Yeah.
Is sort of like, hey, we have another album. Like, nah, we're not going to do this. So they've been pushing to get that album out for years. Hopefully we get to hear it soon. I've heard people say like, oh, it's going to come out real soon. Like I've heard clowns say like, oh yeah, we've got it ready. It's going to be out before you know it. And then it just sort of like lingers type thing. Yeah. I want that to be a surprise release. One day you just wake up and boom, here it is for sale on our store type thing.
That'd be awesome.
No sort of fanfare, no nothing. Just like, hey, it's there. It's on streaming. Go fucking consume it however you want.
Yeah. But they did talk about be able to make their own choices and stuff like that in this little, is it on YouTube?
It is on YouTube. Yeah, their video.
But yeah, so like, I think that the artist freedom of being independent, I mean, granted, it's a large cost to go independent or to be independent for a band, but the artist freedom is really, really good.
Yeah. And one thing they brought up early on in the video is like, well, if you back us, how do you know you're going to get the album? And they don't really touch on that until the very end where they're like, the album's basically done. We need to lay down drum tracks, which I don't really follow Archspire that much. I remember seeing them live and thinking, all right, they're fun. They're good.
Yeah.
They're the technical death band, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do they do the, put your right hand here?
Oh yeah, they do the what is that called? Twister. In the middle of the pit.
They do Twister. Like, that's the band. Okay.
So if you've never been to an Archspire show, they do Twister in the middle of the pit, but it's like they call out 2 things, and then they're like, and now Wall of Death.
Yeah.
So like if you're the people playing Twister, you're basically in the middle of the Wall of Death.
Yeah. So we saw them once as an opener, I think for Whitechapel.
I think so.
I think that was when they played the Valley in full.
Yes, and it was at House of Blues.
Yes.
Whitechapel played Valley in full.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Archspire was an opener for them, yeah.
And then we saw Archspire after that at the Metro.
Yes,
and I remember as a headlining show, and I remember liking the Archspire show much better the second time around than the first.
I liked both. I remember.
I know you do. Yeah, okay, I'm just saying me personally. Yeah. So even though they're not like my absolute favorite band, this is still something I want to back and want to support.
Recently they got a new, or they went to Instagram. Well, I don't know how they found their drummer. I just remember seeing them recently on Instagram looking for a drummer.
So I was going to say that too. Like when I told you about this, like, hey, Archspire is going independent. They have a Kickstarter to back their new album. The first thing you said to me was, they get a new drummer?
Yeah.
Like it was like, they have a new drummer? And it's like, yeah, that's part of this is like, we have a drummer. He's already working with us.
Yeah.
You just got to lay down the drum tracks and the album's basically done.
Yeah. I remember seeing the Instagram thing though, and I was like, finding a drummer to be able to play as fast as they play is crazy.
Yeah.
Like it can't just be anybody. So. But
I don't know. I thought this was really cool. I'm interested to see what happens. I understand what they're doing and why they want to go independent. They talked about risks and how you have to take risks and everything. Like we've always taken risks. Like this is no different from us to be on a label or whatnot. To me, I guess it is a little riskier sort of from a fan perspective. Like I want to back your project. And now it's sort of like, you got to be patient and wait for the album to come out. Yeah. You have to be patient. You have to wait. Yeah. I know I've been on Kickstarters and projects that I've backed in the past where if you don't hit your deadlines, there's certain people in that community who backed you that are super vocal about like, fuck you, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, blah, blah, blah. So got to be patient with it. And also that aspect of how do we know we're getting the album? I think it helps that the album's mostly written according to them.
Yeah, mostly recorded and done.
But yeah, that is one risk I guess the label possibly takes, right?
Exactly.
When they give a band money, like, all right, go make an album. What happens when the album, like the band folds?
Exactly.
So it could happen here. I don't think it's going to happen in this case. And I know a bunch of people go to Kickstarters and help get financing for their records as well. So it actually might be something we want to look into more for sort of lesser known bands as well. And there's also like Bandcamp. I know a lot of smaller bands are definitely on Bandcamp. Mother Graves, we've talked about them all the time. We love them. They're on Bandcamp. That's where you buy your merch from them. They're under a label though as well.
They are, yeah.
But
was their first album under a label?
It was, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't quite sure if their first album was or if
they
it was just
changed, I think, between their first and their second album. I can't remember exactly. But in any case, this is about Archspire. Go check out the Kickstarter. We're going to throw a link up there. It's only live for a little bit longer.
I think 26 days from
when we record this.
So 25 days from the day it's posted.
Yeah, because we want to post this tomorrow. So yeah. They've already met their goal, so it's going to be happening, it sounds like. But yeah, I think we're going to back it. And there's a lot of cool stuff, including a graphic novel.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the highest tier, gets the graphic novel.
The second from the highest, I think.
Second from the highest.
The highest tier, I think, gets you like a live stream early access with the band where they premiere the album, like over a live stream type thing. So, yeah. Really cool, really fun. Go check this out. And
always support your bands, though.
Always support your bands. Yes. Buy their merch, buy their music, go see them live. Support the shit you love so it sticks around. And yeah, support your shit, and we'll see you out there.
Bye.